Liverpool versus everybody. Happy Tuesday morning here, probably afternoon for most of you guys. So let's jump right into it. Jordan Henderson, 5-year extension, I believe. My personal thoughts on that is, listen, I don't mind Jordan Henderson being at the club. I think he's more of a essential part off the field than he is on the field. I think to me, Milner is also that kind of character, but I think Milner has proven to be probably just as important off the field, and as he is on the field. I mean, I think he's definitely surpassed Hendo as far as what he's able to give us week to week, really. And Milner's been that much more fortunate with probably not having so many injuries like Henderson has had through his career, especially over the last few years. What's up, Jason? So, listen, I've said it before. There's nothing negative. There's nothing personal against him. Get Hendo out of here. Mommy, what's up? There's nothing personal I have against Henderson, but I just feel like this season, most of his looks will be from the bench. I mean, with his injury history lately, and that's why he's been moved to a six. Not because Klopp thought, oh, he can be an amazing six. No, it's because his skill set has diminished and his injury issues have gotten the best of him. And this guy's not even 30 yet. So, I mean, listen, Henderson for me is an important part to this team. And what he doesn't do on the field, he does off the field, and he'll have a great game here and there, in my opinion. Um, but going forward, he's not a guy for me that should be starting the majority of games at the six, or definitely not an eight. I think the only time we'll see him in Liverpool from now on really is a six, and that's if we're really desperate, maybe as an eight, or maybe in a two prong midfield. If you're doing like a 4-2-1-3 or 4-2-3-1 or whatever the case may be. Other than that, I don't see Henderson really featuring as an eight or anything else but a six. And even with that, I said it before, he's not even the best six in my opinion. Now, once we see Fabinho, who, at this point, you got to really, I think most people are curious when Klopp is going to use Fabinho. I'm sure he has his perfect plan and he knows when to put him in. But it does make you wonder how to do it. And for me, I really, really think we should have a look at this 4-2-1-3 or 4-2-3-1. And have Naby a part of that three or have a part of that one with the regular three that we already have. Because for me, Genie, his best position is as that holding player. If you have him next to Fabinho, you have him next to Henderson, I think we get a little bit more joy with that as opposed to having this three. Look, we saw what the midfield did against Leicester, okay? And we saw how that just didn't work. I don't care how you try to slice it, it didn't work. That midfield did not work together. Having Henderson and Genie in the same midfield, I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. It doesn't. And you can give me the whole, well, what about the Champions League? That was by hook or by crook. We didn't want that midfield. They upped their game to a degree because of what was on the line, but even in the Champions League final, there wasn't much that came from the midfield. It really wasn't, let's be honest. So, those two players together, it's just not going to be, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. More times than not, it won't work. There's certain games that maybe you can put that together, maybe it's okay, but no. We as a club are too romantic. We gonna be tough if a player is improving. Let's drop him. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I think that's the problem with Hendo. And I heard a podcast or something, and they kind of talked about that. I forget what podcast it was, but that's the issue, the dilemma that Klopp has. Klopp feels like he has to put Hendo in. He has to play Hendo, so he has to find time, find space in the squad, find rotation or whatever to put Hendo in. And that to me is not a problem you want to have. Hendo is a player that he should be able to play when we see fit, not because I got to put Hendo in. He's our captain. He's our what do you call him, the general. I've said it before. There's certain players that we believe in way too much, or maybe Klopp believes in way too much. Um, in my opinion, the midfield with Leicester is a counterattack midfield. It's not a midfield to use. You use when you want to control the game. Um, I mean, I guess again, I don't really even see it as a counterattack. There's not really anybody in that team besides. Well, sure, maybe it could be a counterattack. I think this whole idea that Henderson goes backwards and sideways, and the whole Hendo apologists who try to say, "Oh, that's not true. He's a big." It is true. Go look at the game. Most of the time, he got the ball, he's going backwards or he's recycling it to the left or to the right. You rarely saw him go forward at all. And sure, you can say, well, it's a position that he was in, and it was a position that the teammates put him in, that give him the ball to dip. This guy is a backwards, sideways guy. And there's certain times where you need that, right? I mean, he's not the only midfielder we have or in the world of football who's gone backwards or sideways. We get it. There's times when that's needed. But for me, it felt like it was a situation where um, the pressure was coming, and I'm going to talk about that in a second because Leicester. I'm talking about it now. Leicester's first of all, Leicester had a wrong lineup, and let's be honest. If Vardy plays in that game, I'm not saying we lose, but there's some different situations that happen in that game where Gray starting as a single striker is not the way you want it to go. Iheanacho maybe, even Okazaki I think a bit more because of it's a different style of player. I think Okazaki is one guy who can really, really hurry you and maybe kind of mirror what Vardy could have given them. And that's the thing. They hunted in packs and they did it pretty damn good. Especially you can see what they're doing with this team. They're trying to kind of mirror that championship side, right? With having Mahrez, they have this guy Gazelle now. They got Mendy, who's kind of like their N'Golo Kante. They have these kind of players that are trying to press you and try to harass you, and they did that. They definitely did that. The thing with them is that we talk about control of a game. Percentage of ball doesn't really mean a lot. I've spoken about this before. It's such an overrated stat because, as Klopp said, we did control the game. We did it from this aspect. Leicester City probably had control or probably worried us the most from the midway point to like just outside the 18-yard box. That's where they got a lot of their joy, a lot of their pressing. They had a lot of times where they would get the ball from us. I forget the midfielder's name. What's his name? Albrighton. Albrighton was amazing for them, I thought, as far as cleaning up any loose balls we made a mistake on. If we looked like we were going to stray us past, he was there. He sniffed it out. Him and Mendy. And I think the young guy Morrison, whatever his name is, he was pretty good as well as far as that's concerned. So that's where they had some joy. But because they didn't have any really good players to really execute that after getting some joy and getting the ball, I think we control game. And what I mean by that is control different spaces of the game. And we had a plethora of opportunities and some chances there. There was a point there, maybe in the second half. It's probably written down here somewhere. I think it's 57 mark, actually. 57 mark in 10 seconds. Salah makes a poor mistake. Milner gets the ball on a breakaway. It's him and Mane. I don't know what Salah's doing. He draws on the ball a little bit. Comes back over towards the left side of the box. Gives the ball away. So we had some chances that we could have really enjoyed our football and got more goals, but we didn't. And again, it goes back to us finding a way, by hook or by crook, whether it's pretty or not, to get the results that we need in this game. The build-up play for the first goal was great. I think Robbie, it was almost like Ox-esque. That's something that I think Oxlade-Chamberlain would have done. Gotten the ball, just bulldozed through this guy. See Mane, and I think Mane's. Let's see. Jason says, I do respect Hendo. He took over from Gerrard, even though he never had the characteristics of a captain. Yeah, he saw us through hard times. Got to tip my hat to him. Yeah, and that's fair enough. I think that's part of the issue, which unfortunately, in a silly manner to me, people could even try to compare him to Gerrard. I'm not saying you, but I think that's part of the dilemma. I think with Hendo, it's like he took over for Gerrard, and so. But we all should know that he was never going to be Gerrard. He's going to be Hendo, and that's what he had. There's nothing new we're going to gain from Hendo. It's not like, give him more time and we'll see. What we see in Hendo is what we see in Hendo. And that's up and down, hot and cold. And you can say that for a lot of players. But for me, it's way too much cold from Hendo than it is hot. That's just my opinion. And so, back to the game, though. Because I'm really, Leicester, we should really be learning our lessons from Leicester. And they taught us a lot of lessons. And I'm going to get into those. But I think with Robbo, how he kind of just made that goal himself. But also with Mane. If you see in that game, Mane's kind of like doling around the middle. There's a lot of space there. And he's making space to even make that play happen. You know what I mean? And so there's two or three guys that kind of go towards Robbo for whatever reason. I don't know why they didn't go towards Mane. But Mane made that space. And so Robbo, all he had to do was put his head up, look. And you see Mane right there, first goal again. So, and Mane was really great, excellent with defense as well. I mean, very, very, very good at striking back, playing the D. And a lot of times we have Salah very much centrally and the most furthest forward, if you will, striker on the team, with Firmino playing more of a deeper midfield role, deeper attacking role, maybe like a 10, if you will, maybe even sometimes deeper than that. And then, of course, Mane playing much deeper than that, offering some defensive help. So a lot of things to get into. Salah has made some poor mistakes. He has made some poor mistakes. A lot of players have. And I think there's a bit too. I'm going kind of all over the place. I know there's an order of to thumbnail and how that went, but I'm going to go with the attacking three because I want you guys' opinion on: are we too concerned with the front three? You look at the stats. Everybody's on the goal sheet right now. Obviously, Mane has 4. I think Salah has 2 with at least 1 assist, if not 2. Firmino just got on the score sheet this last game with at least assist or 2. So I don't think that's the worst. And I think that's, again, I've spoken about it before, that's very, very encouraging because you realize that when those guys aren't hitting those heights, we can still eke games out. And yes, it'd probably be nicer and maybe more comfortable if those guys are putting in the goals and then maybe just sitting back and playing defense. Maybe that gives us more comfort. But again, it's not about that. It's about, going through a season, having some ups and downs, finding ways to win games. And I think that's what you really want to do at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you want to be able to find ways to win these games. But, I think Leicester taught us a lot of lessons of just that midfield not being a midfield that can really withstand that kind of pressure from these teams that play that high press. And again, that's without Vardy. They did a pretty damn good job. And so to be press resistant, I think you have to have a different personnel in there. I don't think you can have Hendo and Gini in the same midfield. If you want to put Naby in there for Gini and have Hendo, if you want to put Fab in there and put and keep Gini in or put Naby in with Milner or Lallana or whoever, then you must do that. And so it does lead you to believe, when will we see Fab? When will we have Fab, who showed how amazing he was in Champions League football, obviously in the French league, against top teams, not just jokes in the Champions League. He did a really, really good job at leading that team to or being a part of that team who went to a semifinal in that competition. So it'll be interesting to see when we see Fab, how we see him in the game. Will we see a 4-2-3-1? Will it just be will he will persist with the 4-3-3 with that holding kind of anchor defensive midfielder with the 2 8s? So interesting to see. Hendo's new contract, listen, it is what it is. It's not a surprise. I think the club, especially Klopp, really value Henderson, a part of that team, and that's fine. I just believe that he'll be more of a role player from now until the future. I mean, if he signed a 5-year contract, he's being kept around, in my opinion, or he should be, in my opinion, kept around for his experience, for just his kind of longevity in the team. But other than that, I just think he's not going to be a major part of what we do. He'll come in games, maybe some important games. And we'll see. Again, he's good for a good game here and there, but I just don't think he's going to be able to be consistent and hold up a spot in this starting 11. I just don't see that. I don't see that at all. So for me, I'm not too concerned with the front three. Again, I think there's obviously some things that we can improve in. And you obviously want to see opportunities finished. And not just Salah. We've had other opportunities that we could finish, and other players that haven't finished them. But I think with Salah in the situation of last season, he took a while to get going. And when he got it going, he was going. And there was no turning back from that. But he had his first few games where he was missing chances like that. Or he didn't seem confident enough. Once he got in the swing of things, again, last season was his first season. And that's how amazing it was to see him score so many goals. But it took him a while, as it does with most players, to get acclimated, to get into it. And so at this point, he should be acclimated, right? But maybe this is something that Salah does. Maybe he just starts off slow like this a little bit, and then he picks up momentum and gets his confidence back. So we don't really know what that could be. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just him missing goals. It does seem to be something different on his face. He's not smiling as much. And certain things just aren't going for him. He'll get a ball in the middle of the park, higher up the pitch, try to do a back pass, try to do a flick on. Doesn't really work for him. Same thing with Firmino. Firmino's doing things that in his sleep he can do. You can see him trying to nutmeg guys, sometimes he'll make a pass and you're thinking, it was a wasted possession. We have the ball, we're looking good. It gets to Firmino, you think, okay, of all people, Firmino will be able to make this pass, facilitate something, create something, and he doesn't do it. So it's not clicking in certain areas. But for Firmino, for one guy, what the work he does off the ball, tracking back, diving at people's ankles to steal the ball off, whoever has the ball in possession from the opposing team. I'm loving what Firmino's doing. And yes, he's not bagging in goals. Yes, he may not be at the level he is as far as creation, making space. He's dropping way too deep for me sometimes. But I think this is why you can't drop Firmino, because I think Klopp knows what he's going to get from Firmino, even if he's not scoring goals. Maybe he doesn't think he can get that from Sturridge, Origi, anybody else we have on the bench. I think he knows for sure he can get that from Firmino all the time. And so that's why you'll rarely see Firmino sit. He's got to be hurt. He's got to be extremely exhausted to see Firmino even come out of games. So it was Sturridge's birthday. Onyx, of course, wanted Sturridge to play based on that, it seemed. But, listen, he's not. Firmino's going to be a guy that's going to play a lot of minutes, probably the most this season, I think, in the squad, because he knows what Klopp wants from that top guy, from the top of that formation. So, Mame says, I'm not worried about Salah. He'll show up strong. Yeah. To be fair, Salah at the top of last season, decision making was very off, as if he's thinking too much. Yeah, I think we'll see the real Salah after international. I hope so. I hope so. At the end of the day, I think just for me, the most, I think, upsetting thing that I've seen, well, let's say for the last 3 games, is just that we're not, we come out in the second half and we look a bit flat. You know what I mean? We got most of our goals in the first half of these games, and I think if you're gonna play the way you're playing in that first half, and even if we're struggling in the first half, the second half has to be better. If we're playing great in the first half, the second half has to be a continuation of that. We cannot have drop offs. It's very hard for Klopp to take out one of them front 3 because they can score or have assists anytime. Yeah, even when they're not playing well. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean those front, and that's why I think he waits so late. And I get it. But I was happy to see, for example, Shaqiri come in. Shaqiri came in, held the ball very nicely, took the ball to the corner and said, waste time, let's waste time. Whereas, Gomez was taking long throws into the box, which he didn't really need. So Shaqiri's a very smart player. He's been around. He's been in different countries playing football. And again, as soon as he came on, you saw him just like a terrier, just running everywhere, trying to just fill any kind of space he could, work hard, run guys down. You saw that worked. And so, that front 3 is obviously very important, but I think it's good to see Shaqiri, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come of him coming on a bit earlier, especially if we're struggling. You can do with having one of those on the bench, in my opinion. If you're bringing in Shaqiri, you're bringing in Sturridge, you can do with having a Salah on the bench as a sub, or Mane on the bench as a sub, or Firmino. I think right now Mane has been the guy who's clearly just shown that he's taking his opportunities a bit more than others, and that's okay. I think it's okay to shift that from time to time. I don't think that's a major problem. So I'm happy with what I'm seeing. I think it's very easy for people to say, oh, I don't care about the performance if we got the win. That's an idiotic way to think about it. You should always care about the performance. Even if we are winning, there's ways to really dissect certain things. You should be happy we got 12 from 12. Out of 4 games that have 12 points right now, going into an international break, Spurs losing, big. Still above City, big. That's a good thing, but there are things we have to work on. And I think it's okay for people to talk about that. It's not about complaining, because that would be silly. There's no need to complain. We got the victory. But you should always care how we came about it. You should always care about different things that we're showing, different things we need to improve on to better our team. So, in my opinion, it's very important to look at what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And to me, I think most of the things we're doing are right. I think we obviously, I've said it before, more clinical, being better in the second half. We didn't give Leicester a lot. We really didn't. And so they had some of their joy of getting the ball back, but they didn't really have the players, the essential players, or they didn't have the players at the time in the right frame of mind to really be clinical in the chances that they had, or the small chances, but the opportunities, I should say, that they had. We had the block from Gomez. We had the situation where Gray was in on goal. Gomez dives in again, and Alisson makes the save. Of course, we gave them a goal. So they had some moments, some opportunities, more so than they had chances. And any chance that they really did have, we were able to stifle it and keep it out. So as far as Genie is concerned, Alisson had more touches than Genie and Salah. That alone is not good. We had 40%, 40-something percent of the possession. They had, I think, 60 something. So, I mean, it's when you really look at it, Alisson having more possession than your 8 in a Liverpool team like this, that's a bit alarming. It really is. And I think, again, Genie flourishes more in that 6, kind of shielding role than he does as a going forward. He had a pass there, I think, in the second half. And that's the thing. Some of his shots are just so weak. It's almost like he doesn't want to score. He forgot how to shoot. It's really odd. And I think the goals that he has had, when we look over time, it's almost a surprise that he gets them. The headers, that you would hope that he can be a little stronger with that. But when he's shooting the ball with his feet, he just seems very, very uncomfortable, or just it doesn't seem as confident as you would like to see him. So seeing him as an 8, listen, it's good to have him as an option, but to me, he's just better at that shielding role, a defensive role. So whether you're gonna do that 2-prong with him and Fab, him and Hendo, or you're gonna have him solely as that, and then you have the 2 8s. I just don't think, especially with Hendo again as their anchor, it doesn't work. Genie does not work as a 6. And again, he'll have a game here or there that's decent, but as an 8, he just doesn't work. I think 6 is where his Liverpool future lies, as that 6. And again, to me, above what Hendo can do, and probably next to what Fab can do. So that's it for today. For the most part, I want to talk about Hendo signing the contract. I want to talk about things that we should have learned from Leicester, and just a recap of that. Just being better at being resistant to these teams that try to press us. Because look, people are going to look at that Leicester performance and say, maybe they're Vardy away from getting some out of that game, getting the point, getting the win. Maybe they pull that out. Maybe we can get at that keeper. If he's going to be that confident, maybe that maverick light, maybe that risky. Let's get at him. Let's make sure we have somebody in his face all the time. After set pieces, after balls go out of bounds, whatever the case may be. Let's try to press this goalkeeper and see if he'll try to risk that again. But I think the midfield really showed some holes, and I think Leicester got at that in a major way. I think Naby is a guy that, again, he should be undroppable. Maybe you hear that, you see me saying that, and you think, oh, no one's undroppable. Naby Keita should be undroppable. And we saw what we lacked in the midfield. He's only been with us for 4 games. And we can see what we lacked without having him. Lallana hasn't seen the pitch much. That's eye-opening for me. We need to see something from Lallana. What that's going to be, I don't know. Maybe Klopp thinks Shaqiri is more of the guy to take over that role in the midfield. I don't know. I like to see what he has, though. And I like to believe that we'll see him at some point. Because then it makes you wonder about the depth again. Just seeing Lallana's name isn't enough for me. I need to see what he actually can do. Seeing him on the bench just thinks, he'll just ride the bench. He's not going to come in. And if he is, what are we going to see from him? So that's key for me as well, to really see how good the depth is from this team. It's not enough to just see the names. We see Hendo. We see Lallana. Are they really going to show us anything? We see Fab. We haven't seen him yet. So while Genie has been doing his thing, Milner's been doing his thing, Naby Keita has been doing his damn thing, what are we really going to see from these other guys? He should definitely play when fit, even when he is not 100%. It's very hard for Klopp to take it on. When you say he, who you talking about? Lallana? You said Naby. When he's fit, he should definitely play. Yeah, okay. So yeah, and also just talk about the front 3 and what you guys thought about. Are you kind of in Lallana will play cup games? Yeah, probably. That's probably where we'll see him mostly. But again, I think we've got to see what he's made of in the league. Because if not, what's the point? What's up, Mercy? How you doing? So, wanted you guys' opinions on some of these things. Of course, the Hendo extension, what we learned from Leicester, and then the front 3. And is anyone really bothered or concerned with maybe the lack of production as a whole? I mean, of course, Amani's been doing his thing. Firmino, again, just got on the score sheet. Salah has a couple goals, an assist or 2. So, and again, I think for the midfield in that game against Leicester, I think the best player was Milner, I think. And that's, kind of by default because no one was really great in that midfield, let's be honest. But he got the assist. He went down when we needed him to, stayed down a little longer. He's kind of got that veteran. Not to say that those times where he kind of clattered with other players that he didn't feel some pain or he wasn't, discomforted or uncomfortable with that. But I think it's just that savviness of a veteran of when to kind of go down, when to buy some time, when to maybe get the ref's eye. Those are all good things. So, and of course, again, the assist that he got for the set piece for Bobby's goal. So. It's really good to see we're getting that from Milner because really at the end of the day, after you think of Genie and Naby, there's not much else on that bench in my opinion in the midfield that you really are excited about besides obviously Fabinho. So we'll see what happens. That's it for me today. I got to get to work. Just wanted to come on and talk about some things after thinking about the game and thinking about us moving forward. We've got to be better. I think we will be. I'm excited to see this game after the international break against Spurs. A lot to talk about with that. I'll be back with that as the days get closer to the game. So enjoy your week, guys, and I'll see you soon.